It's time to talk foldables. I'm going to level with you, I'm not very well, and if there was ever a day where I didn't want to make a YouTube video, it was today, but I'm doing it. That's how much this channel means to me, it's how much my audience means to me, and it's how much foldable phones mean to me as well. I've dusted myself off, I'm going to shut up about being ill and talk about these four devices in front of me. So, foldable phones, there's still two big compromises with them. The first one is that they are astronomically expensive still. There is one brand that is kind of breaking the mold with that, as you'll find out in a moment, but they are pretty pricey. So you have to either remortgage your house or give up one of the kids just to get one. But there are some big upsides to doing that and getting the foldable. The second big, for a lot of people, big caveat, if you like, is this thing here, which, not that, this is a good start, is that, can you see, in fact, you can't really see it there. That's a bad example. I'll come back to that. This video is going brilliantly already. Is that the crease? Maybe you can't see, maybe it's not a problem anymore. Who cares? Anyway, foldable phones. I've got four in front of me. We have the Galaxy Z, and we do say Z in this country, Z Fold 6. We have the OnePlus Open Apex Edition, the Google Pixel 9 Pro Fold, and the Honor Magic V3, and the Mate X6, which is Huawei's latest foldable. It's just been released, and it's not in this video because I got it in Dubai after this video was shot. However, I do have a full review of the Mate X6 on the way, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. But let's find out what this has to contend with. Now, all four of these are fascinating, and although they've been out for a little while, you may be thinking about buying one, or you might just be bored. You know, it's the end of the year, you fancy watching an ill YouTuber waffle on about foldable smartphones. Whatever the reason you're here, thank you. It can only get better, can't it, this video? So let's crack on. Okay, the first point of comparison is pricing, which is quite tricky because you can't buy these phones in every single region. There's a couple of these phones that you can't buy in certain places. So I've had to base this on UK pricing because you can buy all four of these in the UK. And I've gone for 512 gig-ish of storage as the kind of, the price to compare at. But then we have the challenge of the fact, and it's a nice challenge, that we get discounts on these phones. That there's one brand in particular that is offering a very big discount at the moment. These prices basically are correct at the time of filming. The Z Fold 6, Samsung's foldable, is £1,899 for the 512 gig version. The Magic V3 from Honor is £1,699. The OnePlus Open Apex Edition, which is this lovely crimson colour here, is £1,699 normally. However, it's £1,199 at the moment at the time of filming, which is a bit of a bargain, to be honest. The Pixel 9 Pro Fold is 1,869 quid. So again, they're very, very expensive. Picking a winner in terms of the pricing is quite straightforward today because it is just the OnePlus Open Apex, because it's cheaper based on that deal. But they're all much of a muchness when it comes to pricing. So it's kind of a tie. But then, if you're lucky enough to be buying at the right time, with OnePlus and actually with Samsung and Honor, Google less so, but those three, they do have deals that crop up now and again, so it's worth checking out, but they're all really expensive. Let's talk chips very quickly. So the Z Fold 6 and the Honor Magic V3 are using the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which is technically the previous generation Snapdragon now because we now have the 8 Elite. The one that's in the Z Fold 6 is tuned for Galaxy, I think they say. But basically, Samsung takes the off-the-shelf version of the Snapdragon and does some stuff to it to make it theirs, but they're basically running the same chip. The OnePlus Open Apex Edition and the OnePlus Open Normal Edition is running the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, so technically it's 2 generations behind. This phone is a year old now, it's worth bearing that in mind. The Pixel 9 Pro Fold is using, I had to remind myself of this, the Tensor G4, which is Google's latest chip. Now, does any of that make any difference to the way that these phones perform? No, and the reason for that is because they all feel fantastic. They're fast, they're fluid, they're buttery smooth. They cope with having two displays, no problem whatsoever. You can probably game on them, you can run benchmarks on them if that's your kind of thing. But in general, everyday use, getting things done, multitasking, productivity, they all feel identical. So again, it's a tie on the chips. Design and build quality. All 4 phones are very well made. It's worth getting that across. They feel like they should cost a decent amount of money. That's a good start. But going through each one individually, the Z Fold 6, it's great as a one-handed phone. When you've got it folded like that, you can text with one hand very easily. That's not to be overlooked these days with massive phones. I can't text one-handed on my iPhone 16 Pro Max, it's too big. I can on this. The problem with it is that beyond that front display is just a bit too narrow. And compared to these other devices in front of me, the Z Fold 6 is starting to show its age. They haven't changed this design much at all over the last 3 or 4 years. It's looked like this for a long time. Now, it has its own legion of fans, Z Fold fans out there. There's many of them. Trust me, you're probably in the comments already. I think the next one needs to be different, basically. But it's still a very well-made phone. The hinge is lovely. Both displays are fantastic. It just needs to change a bit and get thinner and a bit wider, I think. The OnePlus Open, this is the Apex Edition, which has this kind of lovely crimson red finish, is a beautiful phone. It always gets comments, basically. If I have that on the table, face down, people always comment on this. They'll say, what phone's that? That's lovely. And again, it feels great. It's thin enough, I think. I mean, if we compare it against the Z Fold 6, it's not that much thinner, to be fair, folded, but it definitely is, and it's wider. You know, that front display is just a bit, you can just do a bit more with it. You can text one-handed, it still has that one-handed ability, but it's just a bit more usable compared to the Z Fold 6. I'm also a big fan of the purposeful camera bump with the Hasselblad logo on there. It's a lovely looking phone. Then we have the Honor Magic V3, which defies all logic. It shouldn't be this thin. It's impossible to get this across on this video. When you first get your hands on this, particularly when it's folded, you would be forgiven for thinking that this is not a foldable phone. Put it up against the Z Fold 6 and it's ridiculous, it's crazy. It's almost half as thin folded. And then you open it, and it's obviously even thinner, yet it feels really solid. You don't feel like you need to treat it with kid gloves. It's just, I don't know how they've done this, Honor. They've pulled off what I think is the impossible, and it looks great. I love the rear, this is the green version, and I love it. It's great, another fantastic looking phone. Then we have the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, and I'm a big fan of this as well. It's definitely the widest in terms of the front display. I'm a big fan of this front display, but it's possibly a little bit too good because you spend more time using that than you do opening it up. You just don't feel like you ever need to use this big one in here. But again, a very lovely looking phone. If I had to pick a winner, it's the Honor Magic V3 because it does defy everything. Let's talk about the crease. I know this bothers people. It doesn't really bother me, but I do need to compare it so you can get an idea of which one is worst and which one is best. You can't get away from creases on foldable smartphones. At the moment, they are just a part and parcel of owning one of these devices. The worst crease out of these 4 is the Pixel 9 Pro Fold. That said, it's still very good. I mean, again, it's very difficult to get this over on the camera, but you can see it there, you can feel it. That said, it is better than the first generation Pixel. They've made quite a few strides with that. It's there, and it's the worst amongst these 4, but it's not too much to worry about. In third place, we have the Z Fold 6, which again, you can just see there. It's less pronounced than the Z Fold 5, so they've made some improvements there, but you can still feel it, you can still see it in certain lights. In second place, which one was it? Is the Honor Magic V3. Again, you can see it in that light there, but you can probably see there actually that it is, excuse the terribly smudged screen, it is less pronounced, definitely, and you can definitely feel it less compared to those other 2. However, the crown goes to the OnePlus Open, which, if I just do that, again, you can just about see it, but whatever OnePlus has done with their crease technology, it's worked. So if the crease is a real problem for you, the OnePlus Open wins. Operating system. Now, I could have gone through all 4 of these phones and showed you all the different multitasking options and the different features that have been put into each OS, and then I realized that would take 3 hours, and equally, to be completely honest, I can't be bothered. Also, I think the way that I use a foldable is quite common, so when I've got it open like that and I've got that great big display, at most, I'll have 2 apps side by side. I won't have a floating app and all this other stuff going on because it can get very messy very quickly, even though all 4 of these phones enable you to have more than 2 apps open at once. You can do all sorts of very clever things, but I think for general everyday use, All four of them smash the ability to have two apps side by side. Then the ecosystem, they all have their own ecosystems. They have smartwatches, they have tablets and laptops they can connect to, so they're on level pegging with that. When it comes to AI, well, to be fair, the Z Fold 6 and the Google Pixel 9 Pro Fold, they're very AI focused, and Samsung and Google, they're very, very firm on their stance with how important that is in both of these phones. That said, Honor and OnePlus, they've got their own AI stuff going on as well. They have all the kind of, text help and photographic tweaking that you can do. So again, all four devices are on level pegging with AI as well. Okay, camera. And once again, I could do a great big deep dive into these camera systems, but that will take a long time. It's a separate video, to be honest. And what I recommend you do is that once you've finished watching this video, go and watch the individual reviews of these phones, just to get an idea of what they can do when it comes to photos and video. For this video, I thought I would just take one photo, one fairly challenging composition where the sun is beating into the frame and there's lots of detail in the shadows, and let you be the judge. So these are the photo. Well, this is the photo I took. These are the 4 examples of it. We'll put them across the screen now. Let me know in the comments which one you prefer. Now, for me, I still prefer the Pixel. I'm a massive Pixel photography geek. I love what they do with the camera system. The Pixel 9 Pro Fold hasn't fared very well in the reviews for its camera system, but I disagree. It still takes pixel photos. That said, the Hasselblad element of the OnePlus Open is a big deal. You can get some lovely portrait photos with that. And the Honor Magic V3 takes amazing shots. The weakest, I think, of all 4 of these is the Z Fold 6. I just can't get the kind of photos out of it that I can with the other 3. The zoom range is fairly limited. Again, this is such a subjective topic. Let me know in the comments which of these photos you prefer. Conclusion time, and this is quite straightforward. The first thing to say is that all 4 of these phones have been on the market a little while now. The OnePlus Open in particular is over a year old now. That's not a bad thing though. As I mentioned earlier, the chips, the design, everything about these phones is built to last. And if you buy any one of these 4 devices now, you're going to get a phone that lasts you for at least 2 years. So that's not a problem. And equally, it's a good time to buy them because there are some very, very good deals to be had. If I had to pick a winner, it's the OnePlus Open. There's just something about this phone. It's the design, it's the fact that the front display is just the right size. You open it up and the crease is barely there. The operating system is great, the camera's great as well. I'm not alone on this as well. I think if you look at some of the reviews of the OnePlus Open, most reviewers love this thing. There's just something about it. Second place is definitely the V3 because it's just a technical marvel. I think in last place, unfortunately, is the Z Fold 6 because it just needs to change. It needs to evolve a little bit and get a bit thinner, a little bit wider, and just kind of keep up with the rest of the competition. The Google Pixel, I love the camera system on this. It's a great phone. They're all fantastic if you want a foldable, and for that reason, I'm handing this over to you now. So which of these 4 foldables would you buy, or have you bought already? Or if you can't see yourself buying a foldable, why? Get involved in the comments. I do a lot of traveling for this job, and when I'm reviewing foldable phones, I'm often folding around the world, like on this trip to Amsterdam. And when it comes to keeping connected while on the road, there's one app I always rely on, which is Saily. Saily is a global eSIM service that works in over 180 countries. It just means that you don't have to worry about buying local SIMs. You just add the Saily eSIM before you go, you arrive, and it works. And for this trip to Amsterdam, brilliant. And for this trip to Amsterdam, I was able to set up my eSIM in less than a minute. It works on iOS and Android, and the plans are super affordable. Plus, if you use the code MarkEllis at checkout, you get 15% off your purchase. Alternatively, just scan the QR code on this screen. So whether you're snapping pics with the latest foldable or just exploring a new city, Saily keeps you online. Just download the app, grab that eSIM, and stay connected wherever you are. Now it's time to leave lovely Amsterdam and go back to the studio. I made it. I'm still alive. Thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, give it a little thumbs up. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, you know where it is. And if you've still got some time, hang around for a link to another video that I think you'll find very interesting.